Okay, so let's get and build this kind of featured work system that is driven by XML. So over here we go into our main container movie clip that stores all of our sections, and on the second frame, which is our featured featured work frame, and over here we're actually start by adding a couple of variables. First of all, we'll add the, let's say, MT, which will be our reference to the parent and is usually the main timeline. That's why we call it the MT. So movie clip and this dot parent. This is how we access the parent, the parent object, and so we can access functions and variables through it. Anyway, so if we go back and into our XML, we'll see that projects num and news num are two variables that are specified and store the information of how many projects or how many news we have. So if we go into our main container and on the second frame right here, we'll see that we can actually access that. So let's say mt dot, and this is projects num, and this should already be looping for as many projects as we have. Okay, so this is the first thing to remember here, is that we need to have as many loops, as many projects as we have. So this is the way to actually achieve that kind of an effect. Secondly, let's check out our project panel movie clip. And right now we can delete the image because we'll load it up dynamically. And let's check out our text boxes. So this is the project title, which is called title. This is called info, and this is called has an instance name of content. So if we go back and on this second frame, we'll actually access all of those text boxes to project panel. Project panel is an instance of our project panel class, which is this guy right here, and this guy has all of our text boxes inside, so we can easily change the values of those like so. So let's just do it. So insert XML content. Okay, and let's say project panel dot title dot text equals mt dot project title, and we'll say I, and this is mt. So this is a loop, right? So first time it'll take out project title 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then however many projects we have. Okay, so this is how each one of our panels is going to have a different value inside, is because of this I over here. And the second thing to change is info, and this is then project info, and over here this is now our content dot text equals mt project content, and that is I. And what we'll do now is we'll use a substring over here, so we'll make sure that there's no more than 150 characters inside of here. So we can do that by adding sub string 0, so that's from where 150 characters from 0. Okay, so we'll get the first 150 characters into our project panel content. Because it has a limited amount of space, we can actually push as much as we want, and this will just allow it to add that, to limit that text to 150 characters. And one more thing we can add is plus, and let's say read more or something like that. Okay, and we can test it, but it needs to load the XML. Here we go. And featured work, and we have test title 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if we go into our where are you, over here, and let's delete this first sentence just to have some difference. Over here you can see that all of them start with lorem ipsum except for the third one. So any change we implement inside of our XML will show up in here, which is already the kind of thing that we want. The second thing that is absolutely necessary for us to achieve here is to load the image into our project panel. So if we go inside of the project panel, we have some very simple actions over here just to change a couple of properties of our text. And now we'll load our image in here using the loader object. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, a very basic kind of progress bar. It's just a mask, okay, and this is the top layer, and then we have the bottom layer, which is a progress bar, and we're gonna keep moving it to the right as we load. So this is how it should actually look, and the black thing being the mask. I think you get the point, and you'll see it in a second. So this is the very basic kind of progress bar we'll be using, but it shows exactly how you would actually program something like that, and you can make it nice and shiny if you want to. Okay, so let's first of all create an instance of our progress bar, which is progress bar, and this is a reserved word, but it doesn't cause us any problems, and you could make it something different if it does for you. Progress.x equals 80 and progress.y equals 80, and progress alpha, let's make it 0.7 so it's slightly see-through, and add child progress. Okay, so the first function that we're going to add is function load image, and we're going to accept image path, which is a string, and we're going to work with that image path to load our image. So first of all, let's create a loader object. So that's loader equals new loader, and we'll add a URL, which is string, which is image path, and also URL request, and this will be URL request equals new URL request, and the URL is what it's requesting. So this is actually going to call our XML file, load our XML file, and this is going to monitor. So this is actually going to load our image file, and this is going to monitor the loading process and load. So this is actually going to load our image and monitor the loading process. We just have to add the events to monitor it. So let's add the loader.x equals 9 and loader.y equals 9. That's the spacing that we have at top and left. And loader.load URL request. Okay, this URL request is what the loader will be loading, and this is the exact kind of steps you need to follow to load an object into your application. So this is add child loader, and let's check it out. Nothing is calling this function yet. Okay, so this load image thing is not being called. For that reason, it can't really have any effect. And if we go back to our frame 2 of our main container, we'll see that over here where we add our objects, okay, so we add our project panels, we can actually call that load image function, and we can send it empty project image I. Okay, so we are calling the load image function inside of our project panel, and we're passing it the actual path to the image that it should load. Let's see, where's the problem? So the problem being image path. Okay, this is a typo. And now if we run it and check out the result, we can see that all the images are nicely loaded into our featured work. Now I'll actually use the add event listeners to listen for the complete and progress event. And we actually need to call this function, configure listeners, from over here and pass the loader content loader info into it. Okay, so this is actually calling this function, configure listeners, and we're again passing loader content loader info into it. It's accepting it here, so you can see the dispatcher accepting the event dispatcher, and then creating these two event listeners for which we'll actually have to create the complete handler and the progress handler to actually monitor both of these events. Okay, so this is how we're going to monitor our progress. And for both of the event listeners, obviously we need functions. Function complete handler, and this is event. So we have to pass it in, and also we'll copy and paste the function down here, and we'll add the progress handler over here, and progress event is the event that's running the function. Okay, so one thing we can do right away is trace evt.bytes loaded divided by evt bytes total. Okay, and this actually means that we're going to get from 0 to 1 because we're dividing the bytes total, bytes loaded by bytes total. And if we run this, hopefully, we get our zeros and ones. Okay, so of course the first report is 0 and then it's 1 when it's loaded. If we were to check this with, let's see, download settings and simulate download, although this is not the best thing to, for some really preliminary things you can check it out, but for any kind of serious testing with bandwidth and all that, you need to upload it to your server and check it there, because this is not simulating the behavior well. Not as well as you want it to actually make sure that everything is working as it should be. Anyway, but you see the numbers reporting here from 0 to 1, and you're getting all of the values that it should be. Okay, so because we have that now, we actually can move our progress bar towards the right, like I showed you before, and actually create that loading progress effect. So let's just try by progress.x. Okay, let's check it out. So we are adding the underscore progress, okay, which is of type progress bar, the progress bar we have in here. And inside of the progress bar, we have another underscore progress, which is this bar that we're actually scrolling to the right until it's completely at 0 over here, which means it's actually at 100%. And again, you'll see the behavior and be able to understand it better when we do it. So we need to go to project panel. And down here, we can move our progress bar by equaling its x value. And now let's do this. So minus underscore progress dot progress with, and I'll explain this in a second, plus evt dot bytes loaded divided by evt dot bytes total times underscore progress dot with And here we go. Let's just check the brackets. So progress, and this should be underscore progress as well. And this is opening, opening, closing, closing, closing. So we have one too many over here. Okay, so what's happening? Initially, and if we go into the progress bar, you'll see that it's at minus 56, its x, and its width is 56, so basically it's at minus itself, and you can see it here, right? 0 is over here, and this one is left of that 0.4 its width, and if I move it, you'll see that actually it ends right here. So if we go into our project panel, we want to move our progress, and we want to start moving from the minus of its width. This is its initial position, okay? So its initial position is minus its width, and then we're moving it to the right for its width. And also, yeah, let's just try and run it. I think it should work. Over here, so featured work, and we can see all of the bars up here. One more thing we need to do is to hide them when it's complete. So this is the complete handler. So when the loading completes, visible, yeah, echo false. And that means that the progress bar is actually going to turn invisible as it loads. And okay, didn't load the XML. Let's check it out, featured work, and we have no bars up here anymore. And if we check out the simulate download thing, let's just wait for it, and now you can see the loading process happening. Okay, so we have actually fixed up the project panel loading thing. And again, let's try the simulate download, which is just press the command enter another time. And we are loading everything up appropriately. The one thing that we need to change right now is that when we click on any of these guys, what we get is actually the full project panel with the appropriate information. And let's get and do that right away. So the first thing that we need to figure out while trying to achieve that, if we click on any of these, we get the relevant data, right? So the appropriate image and the appropriate information. Because right now we have all of our project panels working, and they have the information specific to whatever XML had stored inside. And the first thing that we need to do right here is to change this 5 also to empty projects num. This for loop actually removes all of the listeners when we click on any of the panels, because we don't want to be able to click on them twice before it actually slides out of the stage, right? Because then we'd be creating multiple full project panels and so on, and everything would just start collapsing. And the same goes over here. So over here, this function actually goes through all of them and adds the event listeners again. So we also need projects num up here, because we need to add as many event listeners as we have projects, and we need to remove as many event listeners as we have projects. So this is the first part that we need to fix. Now for the second one, if we go into our full project panel, we need to check first of all of our text boxes, and you'll notice that this one is static and it should be dynamic, so title, and this one, and let's just mark that one and that one up. Come on, here we go, and here we go, and just make it dynamic. And this one will be info, and this one will be content. We'll also change the single line to multi-line, so this one will drop down like that. Okay, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4 text boxes right here. Let's cut and paste this just so it'll be easier, because we can then lock it down and create Actually, we will add some spacing over here, vertical spacing, so we have a bit more space for adding our text boxes nicely. So we have our client. Opa, we lost it there. Obviously not a dynamic text by default, so let's log this one up again and use the text tool to create a text field right here. Come on, here we go. Just a letter, so we don't lose it again, and here we go. So that's the client. And then we need the media, and I'm just alt dragging this, and then we need technology, and then we need link. So this one would be client, this one will be media, this one will be technology, and this will be link, like so. So we have everything ready, and again we can delete the image. Let's just write down the position of it. So that's x2 and y is 67, because we'll need to position our own image in the exact same spot, right? So it's worth noting this x and y values. Okay, so let's go back and to our full project panel layer, where we actually load this full project panel. And over here, we need to somehow identify which full panel we are adding. Okay, but if we go in here and on the second frame where we have all of our full project panel functions, we'll see that we call, and that's on click, we call our add full panel from right here. And what we need to pass to it now is the actual I, right? The I that the number that our project is associated with. So we can then take the appropriate information out of the XML. The way we'll do that is we'll actually store, because we're adding the event listener to our project panel, we'll store the I to the name property. So we'll say string, and this is I. Okay, so project panel name string I actually means that now down here we can get that name through the EVT target. Okay, so let's trace EVT target name, and now if we run it and click on any of these guys, we get 1, and now we should get 2, and so on. So you can see that we're getting the appropriate information out of here. And we could copy and paste this in here. We'll just encase it in number, because that's what we actually want to send, right? Name is usually a string. It's supposed to be a string, so we'll force it to be a number to send to our full panel function. So now this function over here should receive that value, and let's just make it a k. Okay, so we can trace full number plus k, and let's run it. And if I click on any of these, we should see now full number 2 and full number. Okay, that should be 1 though. Let's check it again. So we have this one should be 0. Yeah. And this one should be 1. Okay. And this one should be 3. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so we get the correct number into our full panel. And now it's as easy as before to actually change all of the values inside. So our full project panel is the object that stores all of the text, right? So all we need to do again is to, if we go down here, we see that project title, image, info, content, client, media, technology, link. Maybe we could just copy and paste this in there for easier copy pasting, and we'll just delete it in a second. So full project panel dot title equals project title. Okay. And we can copy this all the way down and use the project image here. And this is actually project image here, and project info here, and content here, client here, media, copy and paste and paste. And we're left with technology and link. Okay, so we have all of that down. The image is the only one we don't need right here, because we'll actually load it, right? So we'll send that information into our full project panel where that image will be loaded. So this one, however, does need it. So info, content, client, and media, and technology, and link. Let's see now. So this one, we should have title 3, and it should start by this C or whatever, type coercion failed, element title 2. Just a sec. Oh yeah, of course. That's my mistake. We need to add text to all of these guys. Okay. So we are changing the text property of our text values, right? And without that, it really shouldn't work. So this is my mistake. Okay, so title 3. Okay, title 4 doesn't work. Title 2 does work. Title does work. And what's with title 4? What was the issue before then? Okay, so we're obviously having a problem over here. Oh, yep. And our problem is actually inside of the main container right here, where we have this click functionality that we've just created. We need to have current target over here. Okay, so this actually means that we're talking to the whole thing, not the specific item that we might be clicking inside of the featured work panel. Okay, so if we go back now, hopefully we'll have none of those issues now. And it really should work now. The problem before was that the evt.target can actually listen for whatever is inside of the movie clip as well. So it's not taking it as a whole. Whereas if you are using the current target, okay, it's always going to use this parent. So, and since we are adding the name value to the project panel, we shouldn't really read the name of any separate object inside of our featured work panel. So what happened actually is that possibly it tried to read the name property of this text or even the image, and now it's absolutely going to read the name property of the whole project panel. So we shouldn't really have that problem anymore. Okay, so as far as text goes, we've loaded it all in, and you can see it all appear as it should. And the one thing that's left now is the image. And for that, let's go to project panel and just copy paste this function load image. Because actually this image will already be in the memory, it'll display it right away. And using the full project panel right here, create a new layer, and let's call this one text and text 2. This is the above text that we've locked these guys over here, and the actions, paste it all in here, and we'll load an image with the image path. We can leave everything as is, only the X and the Y will change to whatever we've written down just a minute ago. Just let me find it. So 2 and 67. Okay, now we need to call this function and pass it the image path. Okay, go back, and this is the full project panel. So we need to call the function, load image, and we need to pass it the project image I. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, problem. So we don't need to configure listeners. Okay, one too many things I've pasted. But otherwise, okay, we still have an error. What's the error now? Parameter URL must be non-null. So let's see URL, image path, string. The URL really should be non-null, but I think we've load image, project image I. Oh, of course. It's K, not I, right? Okay, so featured work, and try it out, and here we have it. Cool. So we have our featured work pretty much worked out. And let's just check out the full project panel and these links and all that. So we are going to move it down a bit. I think it's all a bit too up, as we saw in the preview. So if we click, it's more aligned now. This upper guys should still go way down like that. Save it and try it, and it's perfect. Okay. So this is our full project panel. We'll actually go into our news section right now